Make someone from Gaza smile in the midst of their great pain. They're running out ways to crush the cells.
This is Imam Omar Suleiman, scholar and civil rights leader who shared his personal experiences and reflections as a leading Palestinian Muslim voice, speaking up for justice from an Islamic paradigm.
So I was giving the khutbah, and 3 people embraced Islam at the Imam. I have everything, yet I feel empty. They have nothing, but they look so full. What is that? What is that?
All part of this episode of Empowered by Islam 21C, our new weekly podcast where we collaborate with leading voices to discuss Islam's solutions to 21st century challenges and trends.
I met him to discuss his special message for UK Muslims at our biggest ever Islam 21C event, Unbreakable Ummah from home to Palestine. Check out annualdinner.co.uk to join us in a city near you with a 3-course meal, talks from Sheikh Haytham Haddad, Sheikh Sajid Omar, Sheikh Yasir Qadi, Sheikh Omar Suleiman and Hamza Torres, as well as our new short film premiere, new book launch and more.
So one of the projects I've actually been working on is a poetry book, and it is the poetry of I was about halfway through translating the poetry October 7th. And it just so happens I got the last book I was working on was Atlan Palestine, Children of Palestine. And subhanAllah, there's something deeply profound about the way that this cause has been nurtured in our lives. When the Sahaba said that they would learn the seerah of the Prophet, that they would teach the seerah to their children the way they would teach them the Quran. The seerah is a practical example of the Prophet. The Messenger of Allah is the message manifested. And right now we're seeing the people in Palestine, specifically the people of Gaza, we're seeing this message manifested through their certainty, through their following the example of the most perfect message. So there's something to be said about money. What do you pour into the vessel? What kind of cup do you have there? You know, and there's one line, so one of these poems, she mentions something that's around the shake and think about it often. I'll be Palestine, but I think that there's ever an anthem, Palestine is playing this idea that rooted in Palestine, grew every single part. But I only bow down to Allah. The entire story of the people of Gaza is a story of resilience because of revelation. They're people of belief. You will find more hafan in Gaza than any other part of Palestine, and probably more than any other part of the earth. They're people of resilience because of revelation, and they refuse to be taken, and they refuse to bow down except to Allah. And it doesn't matter what bomb is dropped on them, it doesn't matter what comes towards them, subhanAllah. They are unbreakable. And so that, just on a personal level, when I think about my own mother, my own person, and then my father, Allah preserve him, who was living in Israel by several years. And growing up, my mom was the poet, my father was the activist, right? He used to take out newspaper ads, actually, watch the news recently. But that was something that I saw in both of them. They never got comfortable. You see, there's this idea that the refugee story is escape persecution, leave behind your trauma, move on. It's very easy to become complacent, to become comfortable, to just say, like, I'm done. I've been able to move past this. But subhanAllah, they were never comfortable. They were never complacent with the status quo. And that has to be the situation of the Ummah. And so we have the strongest part of the body right now, the strongest part of the body in Palestine, the beating heart of the Ummah right now. And the rest of the body has to show up, has to carry its weight. And so the rest of the body can't sleep while the heart beats in peace. And I think that this is an opportunity for us, inshallah, to really reclaim the concept of the Ummah. Have we ever felt more ummatic than that is a silver lining of this very painful time, but also a very important opportunity for us to really rethink who we not like the Canadians, but we do a lot of the, the courtesies and opening remarks and stuff like that. He said, don't do that. He said, go straight for it. Get right into it. Straight for the jugular, talk right to the facts, speak to the facts. And the outrage surrounding the situation right now, brothers and sisters, in Palestine. So the Palestinians are always the underdogs. They're always the underdogs. And always the underdogs. Yet subhanAllah, it is the cause that always recalibrates the entirety of people. Despite the Abraham Accords, despite the colonization of Israel at governmental levels, despite the political and media establishments that try to pretend that they are opposed to Islamophobia as soon as Palestine happens, they see their real faces. Despite all of that, it always rises. Alhamdulillah, it has not died. And it is accurate to say that while Palestine is not free, the Palestinians are free people. Alhamdulillah, you don't find, and by the way, I'll say this because it's important, within the scope of Palestinian activism and consciousness, with Palestinians themselves and outside, this is a cause that actually brings people back to their deen. And so I've noticed this within Palestinian communities where people, started to slip away with their deen, but the cause of Al-Aqsa and the cause of Palestine is directly tied to the cause of Islam. And so it brings them back to their faith. And then you see it in the broader sense with Muslims as a whole, because this is not a nationalistic cause. This is our cause as an ummah. Yeah. It brings people back to their faith. So it's one and the same. You come back to Palestine, you come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Palestine reminds you of the reality of this world. And it reminds me of the very famous incident with Rabi'i ibn Amir radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Kalimatu haqqa inda sultanin ja'ir, speaking of a word of truth in the face of a tyrant. When he's speaking to Rustam of Persia, and he says, إن الله ابتعثنا لنخرج العباد من عبادة العباد إلى عبادة رب العباد ومن ضيق الدنيا إلى ساعة الدنيا والآخرة ومن جور الأديان إلى عدل الإسلام. Very famous statement, right? And he ties together three things. Allah took us from being عبادة العباد, slaves of other slaves, to the slaves of the Lord of all slaves. And from the constriction of this life to the expanse of this life and hereafter, and from the injustice of Allah to the justice of Islam. Those things are inextricable. And so when you come back to the reality of Palestine, you actually come back to the reality of faith as a whole, if you're approaching it the right way. those other causes would come on Palestine. Within the Ummah as well, it's sad, right? They'll
I
suddenly...
remember seeing scenes from Gaza, people standing up for and I think it speaks to the fact that we need to involve this voice that speaks about because those people you mentioned that might be quite they kind of either they're not Muslim, they have their own kind of religion that they hate said it kind of resonated because I remember Sheikh Abdul Rahim Green. I don't know if you saw his the episode we did a few weeks ago. That was he's actually talking about how Palestine was sent as a present to Islam. I never even knew that. And his vision for life in terms of da'wah, it came from a Palestinian brother who, they went and visited Palestine, a delegation of British Muslims in the 80s. They were like, what can we do? And the brother who was driving around, they asked, what can we do to help Palestine? His answer showed his vision himself. He said, to help Palestine, all your people to Islam. And this is Abdul Green here. Him and Dawa is like synonymous to the rest of the because it's only the Muslims, it appears, that can give a consistent narrative for justice that's tethered to something outside of nationalistic interests. So when you see the world crying out,
No one understands what someone made a comment early on in this chat, sometimes just focus on the issue. He said, the people of Gaza, you want to make someone from Gaza smile in the midst of their great pain. Tell them that their strong faith is causing other people to embrace the faith. That's how you do it. They know they're doing da'wah, and they know it, by the way. They know they're doing da'wah. I mean, can you imagine? You got airstrikes falling on you nonstop. You've lost family members. You've seen the butchery in front of your eyes. You might be missing a few members. You're hungry. You're thirsty. You haven't gotten any sleep. Healthcare. And you're thinking about da'wah. They're thinking about it. They are 100% inclined to not just live their faith beautifully, but to demonstrate it. SubhanAllah, check that father, the grandfather, the video that was shaking so many people. He says, the soul of my soul, right? There's so many stories about it. I guarantee that showed him the images of the people that are embracing Islam because of it. That just appreciate the beauty of Islam because of it. Just appreciate it. What did it do for him? I guarantee you that same beautiful smile that he saw when he holds this. They're doing da'wah. They know it, and so they know that the world is watching them, even in their lowest point, in their suffering. They're demonstrating the greatest response. What that's leading to is a lot of people that have emptiness in their hearts, that have access to all the things that the people of Gaza want, starting with security, right? The greatest blessing is security, starting with security, food and drink, and all those types of things. Yes, absolutely. Right, so it's so much that you could go through. I have everything, but I feel empty. I have nothing, but the books are full. What is that? What is that? Right? So I have it there, inspiring people, right? We're seeing them constantly. They're coming to the masjid. Oh yes. In fact, SubhanAllah, I gave a khutbah a few weeks ago about an incident of the seerah, which is what the Prophet had basically set up a camp, a torture camp, where he took many of the weakest of the Muslims and he basically put them on display. And the family of Yasir was one family amongst them. And the Prophet ﷺ would go there and he would say, Sabran ala Yasir, be patient, no family members that are promised Jannah. There are other people, Zamira radiallahu ta'ala, who had been blind, and some of his own people told him, calm down, and he said, the gods made them. And she responded, and she said, Allah gives sight and takes away sight. So he gave her back her vision as a gift for her, certainty for her people. So I was sharing this incident, and the point of it at the end of it was that Abu Jahl thought that he was breaking the code of Islam, that he was really breaking his own image, which is very true about Israel today, right? And his own brother, so he had a half brother, who embraced Islam, and then he has a full brother, Salama, who embraced Islam. There is some scholarship that could possibly demonstrate a link between Abu Jahl's disgusting torture of Muslims and their inspired in faith, and then his own full brother being disgusted by it, his own brother, and inspired by Muslims embracing Islam. I think this is what's happening today. So I was giving the khutbah, 3 people embraced Islam, and there was one brother, Aaron, who I spoke to afterwards, and he said, by the way, he just told my story. He said, I've been living in Islam for a year, but it was Gaza that made it all click. So it was Gaza for him that caused him to take that next step. Which is so inspiring by these people. And there are many people like that. Many people like that. Not just on TikTok.
It's also like the boy and the king, right? Boy sacrificed his body, set his body in his life for his values to assist his spread. This is what the people of Gaza are doing. Their values are spreading, and as European women in the Middle East, it feels like it stays among them. It's a huge loss. The other one, people don't control sitting on the fence. People didn't know anything about it, and now looking into certain issues, but Israel's public opinion seems to be is really being damaged.
Oh, it's PR9. And by the way, no one knows that better than anyone else in the United States. One of the great, Ali has one of the great communications. The Biden administration is that one of the reasons why they feared the ceasefire is they feared that journalists would not be able to go in and sufficiently cover the atrocities that were committed by Israel, but with American bombs, American sanctions, right? So Israel knows it, the United States knows it. That's why there's huge pressure on mainstream media. Right? CNN cannot broadcast from the occupied territory without permission from the IDF before they put anything out there. And they agreed to that condition. And they go and tell us whatever they cover for them. You had Elon Musk, of course, guided tour, right, of the occupation, and they're parroting the same propaganda. So you had X, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all these companies that are just cracking down. There was a call that happened, I think, between Sasha Cohen, Deborah Messing, and some famous actors and actresses, TikTok execs, where they're pressuring TikTok to crack down on pro-Palestinian content. So it's like there's a panic right now. If you pull up this video right now and you search my name, you'll get pro-IDF ads. They're running IDF ads on my name, right? So they're running out of ways to crush the South. And alhamdulillah, that is the glad tidings. They're trying to intimidate us on the college campuses, students and professors. People are losing their jobs. People are losing, but they're gaining. They're gaining perspective, and they're actually recommitting to the Palestinian cause. So the protest is not shrinking. The activism is not shrinking. The response is actually growing. The chorus is getting louder and broader. now is arguably a greater catastrophe. Here's your opportunity. Just think about it in real time. What would you have done then? What are you doing?
Have you noticed the sea change in the US political scene? Still political, even though not just in the UK, but it's becoming different. And the US is obviously a strong challenge.
Well, I think that the disconnect between the streets and the halls of Congress, between party politics and those that they claim have affiliation to, is more obvious than ever before. So most Americans want the ceasefire, but it's less than 20 members of Congress. That's with all this pressure that have come around. So you still got 500 or so, right, that are still doing the exact opposite of what the American public actually wants, right? Which is proving the point all along that they are not beholden to their constituents, they're beholden to their bodies, they're beholden to their donors, to their funders, and their parties are, corrupt, not representative, and they as individuals are corrupt and not representative. So that gap has shown between the public and political parties. The gap between mainstream media and what people are finding online and are circulating online, which shows, a different side of what they're finding legacy media. So that gap is not shown. So I'd say that from the political establishment, no, the political establishment is as it always has been, Zionist corrupt empire, driven by what Malcolm X called American dollarism and European colonialism. Zionism is an extension of those two things, right? It is what it always is, right? Two parties that cannot come together to get government to function for the people here somehow can always agree to fund a foreign government and its military ventures, right? Despite all of the cries about its war crimes. So the political establishment is as it always has been. The media establishment is as it always has been. The people, however, are seeing something different now. And even now, a little bit of that is starting to seep into the mainstream media, right? It's too much. Like, how many dead children can you justify to any sane human being, right? How many dead children? Like, it was really telling when Wolf Blitzer interviewed the IDF commander about the Jabaliya, strike, right? And the guy says, like, yeah, we killed 400 people, but we got a Hamas commander. He's like, so you're saying you flattened a camp of 400 people, and you might have got a Hamas commander? And so you're even seeing, like, it come out even in the mainstream media a little bit, like, really? And these are Zionist talking heads. So the New York Times is starting to look these papers, these press outlets are starting to look a little bit different because they cannot ignore altogether the atrocity. And what they do is they keep pulling on the emotional strings of the American public, right? So they keep talking about Israeli hostages. They keep talking about, the pain that they are experiencing. And by doing so, just by emphasizing that alone, they completely erase Palestinian identity. And so you have the stories of what you at some point it has to recognize, right, that it's not only losing the Arab Stream, right, linking into those words, private meetings, I guess one of the best was the Arab Stream. If anyone's been to the Arab world, you've lost the Arab Stream a long time. I mean, you are long gone, right? And you are hated, right? That you are long gone. And people see right through your hypocrisy. And it is, I think, beyond repairable for the Biden administration, right? Like, you've lost the Arab Stream, you've lost the Muslim streets, and you're starting to lose the American streets as well, because eventually the growing, desperate population here can't put food on the table. I was going to say, why are we spending billions of dollars to go kill other people when we can't feed our own? Why are you taking my tax dollars to fund Hellfire missiles over there while I'm catching hell over here, not being able to put food on the table? Eventually, I think that it's just too costly, both foreign and domestic, for the United States to continue down this reckless path of blind support for genocide. Eventually, the war crime tribunal will happen, and the U.S. is directly complicit in war crimes. Eventually, people are going to cut you off, because the whole world sees this in one way, and your colonial entities in the West are still trying to hold it down in a way that the world
What is our duty, Muslims and our duty to accelerate this protection of our power and making it more fair and just
I mean, that's too much probably for one podcast to talk about everything. Be sincere and be strategic. Be sincere and be strategic. Look, as a Muslim, you always have to the concept of love, the concept of unity, the sanctity of Islam, the concept of correctness, trying to do things that are pleasing to Allah, not betraying. Sincerity is extremely important for all of us. Right? That's strategic. What works? Not what makes us feel good. What works? Sustained strategic protests. Sustained strategic boycotts. Sustained strategic media work. Sustained. Right? That's what it is at the end of the day. Staying the course. You have to stay the course. Get you comfortable. And here's the wake-up call. If we were okay on October 6th with the continued growth of settlements, the continued suffocation of whatever's left of Palestine, the daily routine transgressions on Al-Aqsa, and the emboldened racist approach, like openly, right, racist and fascist and if you're okay with all of this, it's a problem. So if you were comfortable on October 6th, it's a problem, right? It wasn't okay. And it can't be okay once things were calmed down. So we have to be sustained. And by the way, sincerity, subhanAllah, one of the ways that they're going to speak about sincerity is the continuation of Allah'at, is the continuation of acts of worship. Once other people are no longer watching other people, that's what sincerity is, right? Sincerity in your salah is that your salah is not only in the masjid or in public when other people see it, you continue to at home. Sincerity in your qira'ah of the Quran is that it's not just in public, it continues in private. Your charity, right, continues in private. So it continues, it extends. That's part of what sincerity actually is. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. The rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the Quran. We have so much and it's all interconnected. But let it just be a message. We cannot afford to tear each other down. We have a greater enemy in front of us. We cannot afford to make our causes in the name of defending the deen, destroying each other. Because the deen right now is standing with the people of Gaza and standing together. I want you, here's how I read it, just because I was having this conversation with someone else. The Prophet ﷺ talks about this idea of like a person who does not have shame of his faith, does not have shame of shame that he was Jewish. The person is not shy from the people who are shy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and vice versa, according to a narration from Zayd ibn Thabit, right? So if you're not shy from people, you're not shy from Allah. Can you imagine a person from Gaza sitting in a room with our typical bickering as American Muslim communities and British Muslim communities, like the shots and the nastiness? Can you imagine like that person sitting on the couch right now, watching how we talk to each other? Not you and I, but the way that some of us talk to each other. Can you imagine how disgusting it would be? Like, this is what you're doing. This is your priority right now. Allah is always watching us. There is always something greater for us, inshallah, to come together in regards to. So I don't want, we talk about, maybe we should end on this note, we talk about the hypocrisy of the temporary ceasefire. We need a permanent one. So I see some brothers calling for a temporary ceasefire in the community, right, when it comes to division. It's like, I even saw it on a local level, masajid, like two masajid that are going at each other. Like, you know what, right now, let's put aside, or, let's put this aside for at least the next month or two, and then let's, once Ramadan starts coming around, Shaitan gets very active again, so, it's a temporary ceasefire versus a permanent ceasefire. We need a permanent brotherhood. We need a permanent brotherhood. So let this be a wake-up call for us as well, inshallah. Do not be divided. Right now, our people in Gaza need us to be together. People in Palestine need us to be together. Let's find more productive ways to disagree. Disagreements are normal, but let's find productive ways to disagree and find common cause to unite for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, yes,
just a quick question. Finish this sentence. There's one thing you need to remember from this
and it's what the Prophet said when the people said to him, it is what Aisha radiallahu anha said when she was slandered. It's what Imam Malik radiallahu anha said. It's such a sweet because it's not just Allah is enough for us in terms of power. Allah is enough for us, period. He's sufficient. Allah is enough for us emotionally. Allah is enough for us physically. Allah is enough for us spiritually. Allah is enough for us as a community. Allah is enough for us. And alhamdulillah, hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel is Allahu mawlana wa la mawla lakum. Right? When the Prophet ﷺ instructs Umar radiallahu anhu to say to Abu Sufyan and Uhud, Allahu mawlana wa la mawla lakum. Right? We have Allah, you have no one. Right? So that is a manifestation, that's an expression of hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. If they can say it in Gaza, we can say it in the comfort of our homes. And we can mean it, inshallah ta'ala, and we can revive the meaning of that great dhikr in our hearts, bidhnillahi ta'ala.